I'm Kieran O'Connor and welcome back to the Calculated Risks podcast. Today we are joined by Manny 𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀. Manny is the VP of Client Services and the head of Europe for a US-based company called 𝗣취𝗱𝗶𝗴𝗵𝗵𝗁. He spent the last 20 years growing businesses and helping aspiring leaders through mentoring. He's had a wonderful journey and now spends most of his time as a philanthropist helping communities worldwide. Manny, thank you very much for coming on the podcast today.
Very good to be here, Kieran. Thank you for making this happen.
I've been looking forward to this since we met in London a few weeks ago.
I purchased your book.
I did notice.
And I would appreciate if you would give me a signed copy.
Absolutely.
As a memory of my first podcast.
Yeah, this is the first time ever I've actually not signed any books up until now, so this is the first one.
So a lot of firsts today, right?
Yeah. I did tell you off camera, it's probably going to be worth less now, Manny. There you go. You can frame that in case I make it big time.
When you do make it.
In case when I do. Yeah. We start with the same two questions, right? And I know you're going to have some interesting answers for these. So, thinking back to the beginning of your career, what was the first big risk that you took? How did it make you feel, and also how did it play out?
Look, I don't think anything is risk in life, right? I think it's your mental attitude. So I don't like to say it's a risk, but when after my graduation, I went to the US to start my career, and I went 9 days after 9/11. So I graduated in July. I was pretty much ready to go to start my career. 9/11 happened 9 days before my flight. I had everything planned out. I was going to join Cisco. I was going to do my MBA at Stanford. And overnight, the whole plan just scattered. There was no jobs. Economy crashed. Stanford said, look, we don't know what's going on. The country's under attack. You probably shouldn't come. I'm the only child. My whole family were like, you know what? Why would you go? What are you doing? Are you still going to go? But I was young, ambitious, and that American dream, nothing was going to stop me. And I said to my mum, Mum, if that flight takes off, I'm going to be on it. So literally, bags are packed, a lot of emotion, right? Literally, the whole world's against you, don't go. And I said, I'm going to go. And I went on September 20th. And I think that's probably, looking back, that's probably the biggest risk, because I think a lot of people say, let's just step back. Let's 6 months, let's wait. Let's see how this is going to pan out. I had $1,000. I got on a flight and I went.
That is a huge risk 9 days after such a big world event, you know? And just for context, how long did you stay over there then?
17 years.
17 years. So if you'd ever made that decision, who knows where you would have been, right?
Exactly.
And now, so fast forward to now, we've got Manny sitting in front of us right now. What's your relationship like with risk taking? And then how do you also make decisions when it comes to risk?
So, I don't think too much. I think risk is fear in my mind, right? And fear is a mental thing. So unfortunately, society breeds fear. We're basically taught at a young age to be comfortable. So I just think I've just decided what I want to do, and just go for it. If your intention is good, so that risk it never be in the equation. I decided, let's do this and let's just make it happen. What's worse can happen, right?
Mm. So you view it a bit differently. You don't view it as a risk. You view it just as
opportunity.
Like an opportunity. Yeah.
Opportunity. Follow your heart.
Mm.
I try and less follow the mind.
Do you think that's changed as you've become more of a family man?
100%. It has changed. I think my desires are more balanced. When I went to America at 22, actually new graduate 22, I thought you could conquer the world. Right, literally, it's like watching a Rocky movie. You come out watching Rocky, you think you can fight anybody, right? You think you're indisposable. Yeah. I had that attitude, but life taught me I'm not. We're not immortal. Mm. So I think with age, with maturity, and I restarted my life at 40. Reset it, I would say. Mm. So my perspective has totally changed from the first inning to the second innings.
Yeah, which we'll come on to in a bit, and I'm quite excited about that part of the journey. I want to go back to the very beginning, right? So 22, you went to the US. We all know about the American dream, land of opportunity. It's just the UK times 20 or 100, But where did that American dream come from you? What sparked that?
It's an interesting question, because I remember when I was packing my things to go to America. Obviously, I had a lot of stuff in my, I didn't have that much, but I had a lot of boxes. I was like, what am I going to take? Oh, one suitcase I'm going to take, right? It was Virgin flight. You couldn't take one suitcase. I'm not going to, I was very, at a young age, I was very stuck on, whatever I do, I want to do it myself. And I remember opening a folder and it was written when I was 14 years old, and it said, "What do you want to be in 10 years?" And I said, I want to do something in computing, and I want to go to Silicon Valley." And I forgot about it. Right. So 8 years later, I'm opening this folder, and it says that. Right. So manifestation comes into that. What was in my true desire coming into that?
Yeah, I speak about that a lot. You know, you set like a moral, almost like a guiding compass. You put a plane on airplane mode, and it gets there, but you've got to set the cruise control, whatever it's called, you know, and you have to do it yourself as well. You've got to set the goals and let the mind take you there. And it sounds like that's what you did.
But let it go. But I've totally forgot about it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
The intention was here.
Yeah.
It wasn't here. It's pure. That purity is going to be like, you know what, that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah. So for context, then you said that you wanted to do computing. So what did you qualify in?
Software engineering.
Software engineering.
So I went to City of Oxford.
US. Yeah. Like, you know, talk to me about the first day, if you can remember, or the first week that you've landed in the US. What do you do? How do you even find a
basically no jobs. So I planned for 2 years my US trip. Literally really planned it out. And I had network. They said to me, "You're done." I was going to get internship. They said, "Look, there's people that wanted 10 years experience, willing to work for internship level. So you're getting in there. There's no jobs." But someone said to me, "You need medical insurance, because if you get sick, how are you going to pay for it?" Right? They're literally this capitalist country, right? You're done. So it was about October, November time, and I said Macy's were hiring. Macy's like the John Lewis, right? He said, "Go to Macy's. They'll hire you anyway. Just get your medical insurance, minimal wage, by $6 an hour." So I started there just to get insurance, and it's a beautiful journey. I mean, you're born a leader. I don't think you can teach someone to be a leader. You can teach someone to manage. Now, when you got the smartest people, it's great. Put them in the room together, it's a nightmare. It's the hardest thing to do is get the greatest people to work together, and only a natural leader can make that happen.
That's really interesting. So you don't think you can train to be a leader? You think it's some natural. I really respect all the your awareness and the conscious awareness, and like you live like quite a philosophical life, it seems, and so do I. I think that's why we get on quite well. When did this all start, though? You know, because you're 25 at this point in the story.
This started to me in 2011. I went on the journey 2011. But as a child, I've always been fascinated with death. I don't know another topic you're talking about.
I enjoy the topic. That's fine.
But I always want to know about life. You know, I grew up as a Sikh family. My parents are Sikh. They're, you know, like religion. You believe. To me, a belief is something that you don't know. Something telling me, right? So I could never grasp this. I was like, I want to know. I want to lead my life by knowing, by experience, not by believing. And I just look around and I said, everybody's miserable. You know, I spend a lot of time talking to older people, and they used to all be miserable. Sadly to say, literally, no disrespect to older people, but they're miserable, never achieve what they wanted to achieve, but followed the belief system. So it never sat well with me. So I used to question a lot. And so in America in 2011, there was a guru coming to Long Beach. Indian guru was coming. So I went down there. I got initiated in this practice, 21-minute practice. And I started doing that. And that I think the shift started happening then, to be honest. And then the biggest shift happened to me. I would say awakening happens when Volvo was going IPO, the company I'm working with. Mm-hmm. So I spent my whole life going for this American dream, right? It's all about this moment. Going IPO is a pretty big deal. I felt this emptiness inside, right? Like, because I identified myself with my work. That achievement was going to go. I was working to something. Now I've achieved it. Now there's nothing left for me. I literally felt empty. Such a sad feeling to feel, right? You spend 12 years working, literally grinding 7 days a week to achieve something, and when you're going to get it, it's not what it's worthless to you.
It's really interesting you say that, because yesterday, again, speaking with Dan, we were talking about identity and how it's helpful to have a fluid identity.
As much as we think we've evolved as a generation, we're probably involved in a lot of ways. So I'm all about giving power to women and helping women to be on their feet. So I do a lot of, started my own foundation and charity work now. King's Trust, do a lot of mentorship, people that really struggled, super smart people, but just been given a bad card in life. I mentored them for 2 years, start their businesses, and they're all successful.
I think now might be a good time to plug the diplomat badge that you've got. It's just come back into my mind now.
Thank you.
You're the first person I've ever met with that badge. Can we show it on camera?
Yeah, sure.
This is incredible.
Just one of them.
This is one of them, right? I don't know if anyone could see that by there. Civil diplomat. So I understand what it is because I knew anyway, but you've clarified it as well on camera. This is absolutely incredible, by the way.
Thank you.
For anyone that doesn't understand what civil diplomat is.
And so it's a humanitarian diplomat, not a government diplomat. So again, how the universe, I've been doing this quietly, and how universe will always reward you.
Well done.
I didn't want it, I didn't need it, but I think it's just nice to inspire others by sharing these stories and these things.
For sure, yeah, that's such an achievement. Yeah, well done. I've never met anyone who's had
Thank you.
that or anything similar. So well done. You speak quite often about beliefs and like the universe working for you, right? I'm a big believer of that as well. What sort of beliefs do you hold? Do you have anything which guides you consistently?
Yeah, basically, I'll take a second here. It's a deep question. So, I was raised as a Sikh. I'm not religious at all. I love religion, what religions are, or different religions. I think what they are now is not what they should be. So I'm I follow Guru Nanak. He's a founder of Sikhism, and he had 3 core values, which I've always followed as a child. I follow it today. Work honestly. Share your wealth with those less fortunate, and equality, man, woman, and race. It doesn't matter who you are. Just look at everybody as you're equal. And I think it doesn't matter what he is, but I think anybody can just follow these three basic things, to be honest with you. I just follow that, to be honest with you. I don't go to church, I don't go to temple, I don't like going. I think the religion now is very fear-based, and it's not what it should be.
So those are the 3 things that you followed your whole life?
All like from literally as a child. That's where the 10% come from. Give back. So I'm going to get 10%.
And it resulted in that badge right there. Class. And I think we might have another exclusive as well. So you mentioned before that you're training for the April London Half Marathon.
Yes.
Which I'm going to help you with.
Thank you.
And the second one, you're wearing a new polo. You can tell it's new. It's very good condition. What's this? And
so
what are you doing?
basically, I am going to be an official ambassador. It's exclusive. It's not official. It's official.
Now it's official.
But now it's official, yeah.
Official.
I'm going to be an ambassador for 𝗣cie𝗱𝗰𝘀𝗀, which is the UK's leading mental health charity, which brings sports and physical activity to help with mental health. So it's personal to me. I've had some mental health challenges in my life, later in my life. Again, it shows how it's important when you start early to have that balance than dealing with it later. And I love sport. Yeah, I'll be going to the boardroom, to the gym, and training for half the marathon. So, yeah, good luck to me, I guess.
Yeah, that's amazing. Is this your first half marathon?
I'm not a runner. I don't even like running. I like playing football, cricket, but I thought, you know what? Again, they asked me, I thought, why not? If I thought about it logically, don't do it. You know, at the age of, are you serious? I said, why not? If I can help others and I can inspire by...
I've got a very interesting question, which has just come to me. Do you think that you can, the enjoyment that you get out of the things that you do now through helping other people and your philanthropy, do you think you can have as much enjoyment as you have right now and fulfillment if you don't go through the external success route first? Because you went for this, the IPO, and then felt a bit empty, and you've come back up on the other side and you feel fantastic now. Or do you think you can be pretty level the whole way throughout life?
You can be level. If I did it with balance, I'll be doing 10 times what I'm doing now. So I'm behind the game. I think if I would have been ahead of it.
And do you think you could have still IPO'd with 𝗣ǒ if you were not as ambitious, driven, and just energetic? Do you think you could have done it?
No, you need those attributes, and you need that in life anyway, just to feel alive. See, business is business, but to be successful, you need that attitude just to be alive. You got to feel alive. So if you don't have that, you can't do anything. You can't get up in the morning. You can't do anything. You can't be for your partner. Be there for your partner. You gotta be 100% yourself on everything. You gotta be on a high all the time. And I'm on a high all the time. You gotta be just love life. Don't think too much. Brain's the problem.
It is. We spoke about that off camera, right? You know, that the overthinking, the fatigue of making decisions.
We are the most intelligent species on this planet. But we made a goddamn mess out of it. Right? We're most affluent. Our generation, things I'm doing now, my father couldn't even dream about. But we're not the most loving, I can tell you that much.
So when you mentor all these younger people, what sort of things what's the most important things you teach them from all your learnings?
I teach them basically my philosophy. I don't teach them how to do the job because they know it. They just need guidance. And I bring this to the table like I'm explaining now. Just it's about being conscious, work on yourself, and give back. Because when you give, you feel good. And all we need to do is feel good. And unfortunately, we lost what humanity is. A lot of us have. I think majority of the world. That's why we are. Look at what's going on in the world. We lost what it means to be human. All I'm doing when I mentor people is just making them feel human again. And they're good. They're gonna be successful. Because success can mean different things to a lot of different people. But I also want to give back too at the same level.
And how do you do more of that? How do you give back more? You know, are you reaching out to these charities and these aids?
I'll start my own now.
Yeah.
So doing Nagi Day Global Aid is going to be that way. And to be honest with you, I think I view success very differently now. I spent my first innings building a life of success externally based on what I was taught. And now I want to build a life that reflects who I am. And I think that's what true success is. And I think that's what the legacy I want to leave behind.
I really like that. I really like the second innings description that you've given and what you're doing. What else can people expect? What else is coming up?
Hopefully more podcasts.
Yeah. Two quick fire questions before we go. What sort of is there a quote that sticks with you that you follow? I know you could the values you hold, but a quote.
Be the voice, not the echo. A lot of us have the sheep mentality. We just follow. Be a voice. It's hard because I think one thing I've learned is higher you go, more lonely you're gonna be. And when you hit the peak, success is very lonely. That's why your mental, emotional state has to be ready. Because when you're starting out, you're fun, you're gonna have a tribe with you. When you're sitting on that peak, you're probably sitting there by yourself.
Nice. And in terms of content, you've got great energy, great outlook on life. What's your preferred way of taking information, out of podcasts, audiobooks, books potentially?
No, it's very strange. I don't read. I've never read. The only read a book was Macbeth. I had to read it for my English exam.
Mine can be the first then.
But I want to read. But I've never been a good reader. I've never listened to a podcast in my life, apart from yours, the first one.
Really?
I've never listened to podcasts. I'll tell you why. I want to, because people keep talking about it, but I don't see a desire to, because I'm happy with what I'm doing and what I think and how I think. I'm comfortable with who I am, and I fear that if I start listening to people, I might change my way of thinking and change what I'm doing. Maybe consciously, that's what I'm thinking, unconsciously. But just being honest with you, I've never read a book.
Maybe that is why you're so happy and so much energy, because you don't listen to anyone else.
Because I do what feels right.
And follow the gut.
And that's it. It's very simple. Don't complicate it.
Thank you very much for coming on the podcast today, man. It's been a very, very good conversation.
Thank you, it's been amazing.
Appreciate it. And that's it. That is the end of the podcast with Manny. I'm both impressed and pleased that after all of his success in the US, he chose to relocate with his family to mid-Wales, of all places.